They're buggy, they're nerdy, they're talking 6 legs, buzzing on the airwaves with their field note pegs. From beetles to bees, they just can't get enough. Geeking out on bugs, yeah, the nerdy stuff. Not for fame, not for clout, just because they care. It's the Bugcast, boys and girls, science in the air.
Hey, all you nerdy entomologists out there, welcome to the BCE Podcast, where there's no ifs, ands, or bugs about it. I'm your host, Adam Holt. Happy Friday. We've got your co-host here, Shell Hartzer.
Hey, folks.
And we have a special guest in the house over here, David Newfang.
Hey, happy Friday, everybody.
And today's episode is sponsored by Insecto. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the mic over to David so he can introduce himself, give us that everything, everywhere, all at once nutshell overview, as well as give us a little bit about Insecto.
All right, thanks, Adam. I appreciate that. Thank you both for having me here. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for allowing Inzecto to sponsor the podcast and be a part of your growth and all the great things to come. So very happy to be here. Thank you. Insecto is a mosquito control product. It's basically designed to be smarter and safer. The patented traps that we have, they use just a trace amount of insecticide to target mosquitoes, which is a mix of permethrin and pyroproxyfen. So good thing about that is it protects pollinators and the environment. They're simple, effective, sustainable, which means we can help families and communities fight mosquito-borne disease responsibly. So we're all about the environment. We're all about efficiency and helping pest control operators be the best that they can out in the field. So in addition to that, we have a termite product called HydroTrail that basically is for termite bait stations. You just connect the dots and foraging termites run into that trail and they know whether to go left or right to hit a station. It increases station hit rates. So that's a great product we have as well.
Cool.
I love it. And where can anybody get this from, David?
It's in distribution. So if you're Viserys, Target, Forshaw, BWI, pretty much anywhere, whoever your distributor
What about AgriTurf?
Yeah, AgriTurf has it available. Who else? There's quite a list.
Got it. Awesome,
Yeah,
awesome. Obviously, if anybody needs it and they can't get a hold of it through their distributor, obviously anybody can contact David Newfang right here. So I'll make sure all of his information is available at the end of the podcast as well. So, David, tell us now. Our goal is this is really about the BCE, right? And so for anybody listening, again, this is about being a BCE, becoming a BCE, thinking about becoming a BCE, and the biggest goal here is that we're trying to create a platform for all those other future nerdy entomologists out there who aren't quite sure of maybe how to get that BCE and then what they can do with that BCE and use that in their future career paths. So David, tell us, I know you're a baby BCE. Yeah. You just got yours, even though you've been in the industry a while. So tell us, give us a little bit about your background, where you came from, all the way up to when you decided to get your BCE.
All right, yeah. So I started in the industry in 2006. As a termite technician, and companies come and go, so had a company that ended up going. So I moved on to a pest control company, and I got my branch 2 and my branch 3 field rep. There I actually assisted them with building a termite division, so that was interesting. Then I got into doing termite inspections full time, and then went to Dewey Pest Control as a quality assurance inspector, managed a couple of branches for them. Then got into the distribution side. So I've been with a few companies on the manufacturing and distribution side. And, it's been an interesting journey. So I've done pretty much every aspect of pest control in some shape, way, or form, all the way around. And and
you're primarily California, right?
Yeah, I'm California based. I've been in California my entire career. I've had the chance to travel to some other states and see some other type of insects that we don't usually get down here, so that's always interesting. But I'm just looking forward to the journey. I'm learning every day, and it's one of those industries that's always changing and never stops. So you have to grow and adapt with it.
Yep. So you mentioned that, you started in the industry in 2006, but in order to get your BCE, you need a degree. So tell us a little bit about schooling and what you did and how you got here.
Okay. Yeah. So when I was in pest control as a technician, I decided to get a bachelor's degree in business management of all things. So I would have something to fall back on in case pest control didn't work out. I figured I could, run a company or start my own company or something like that. So I did that. Graduated in 2018 from Western Governors University with a bachelor's in business. And then about 4 months later, I started my master's program with the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. So that took me a little over about 3.5 years to complete the master's program. I graduated in May of 2025 and then got my BCE shortly thereafter. As soon as I found out that the time that I already had in the industry could be applied towards my my work portion, that worked out well, because I think before you had to be, after you were degreed, you had to be 2 or 3 years in the field with a company. Yeah, 3 years.
Yeah.
So I guess somewhere along the line they changed that requirement and said, your previous years will now count, and you can sit for the BCE right away instead of going the BCE intern or anything like that. So glad that happened when it did.
I feel like that would be silly for them to say you have to do 3 years after you got your degree when you have all these already years of experience. The whole goal is, just for everybody listening, you have to have 3 years in experience in pest control. Right. So like for anybody who goes to college and just automatically graduates, like Nick, like we had that young and baby BCE, baby across the board. He's just a baby. I think he graduated college in 2020. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so basically he got his degree. He got his degree and then he had no experience. So he had to go and get the experience to follow up with that.
Right. Yeah.
And I think it's important to note too that, sorry, go ahead, David.
No, you're fine. I was just going to say, I'm glad they made that change, because I was able to sit for it right away. So it made it easy for me to transition from one and retain all the knowledge and then go and sit for the BCE. So it was a nice transition.
Exactly. And that's still in your mind. And we should say too that ESA is pretty, I don't know, loose in what you consider experience. So they're willing to do, what's the word I'm looking for, Adam?
I'm just kidding. It's okay. Go. I hear loose and I'm like, all right, my mind's going in the wrong place. Sorry, I'm a guy.
That is your fault, not mine.
I know. Move on.
But you can claim quite a bit, as long as it does still kind of relate to pest control. So if you're not sure that you have that level of experience, chances are you do, and we can talk about that. So, but David, you started mentioning, the BCE got it right out of master's, so you still had that knowledge. So, what were your impressions of taking the tests? What were your impressions of the process?
Everybody that I've talked to in the past has always told me that it was a difficult exam, even if you've been in pest control and dealing with entomology for a while. And they did not mislead me in that direction. It was very, very difficult. I did have to take the test a second time. I did not pass on my first attempt.
Me too.
So for me, it was a very interesting, kind of more of a deep dive into the entomological side, as opposed to kind of the stuff they just skim over in your college courses. So they do kind of get in heavily into taxonomy and morphology, things like that. But the BCE gives you a chance to do a deeper dive into, I think.
You mean like history?
Yeah, history, taxonomy, morphology, just basically entomology as a whole. And you look into the specific orders, I think, more that pest controllers deal with, as opposed to the broader range that they give you in entomology courses. So it was a nice deep dive into some of the subjects. For me, what got me on the test the first time, I think, was the history aspect. I didn't know a lot of who invented what back in 1793 or whatever it was.
Right, that's fair.
Whether it was a handheld sprayer or what have you. So that was a nice dive, and then the governing agencies.
FIFRA, all that stuff.
Yeah. And then the federal government. You have the USDA and APHIS, and the EPA who governs this, and the food FDA who governs this, and for me, there was a lot of questions like that, and to put two and two together, it took me some additional study time. So,
and don't feel bad, because a lot of people take it at least twice. So, that first time, I always kind of say, it's a little bit of a practice round. You get to see what you're missing, and that's exactly what you did. You figured out those pieces that you were missing, so you could study for that. Don't feel bad about that at all.
Yeah.
Was there anything, David, that stuck out in your mind that was kind of like, oh my gosh, like this question, I feel like I knew the answer to this question, but I didn't get the answer right. You know, anything like that?
Yeah, some of the medical stuff, some of the things that they ask you about which disease is linked to which species of ticks, and which disease is linked to which species of mosquito, so things like that. So I would say if you're gonna go into it strong, definitely research the medical entomology side of it, and link your diseases to the correct insect.
Is that the specialty you took?
No, I took urban and industrial.
Okay, so wait a minute. Which one did you take that you didn't pass?
I took urban and industrial the first time, and
Okay, and then what did you take the second time?
I took the same one the second time.
Gotcha.
So
Okay,
yeah,
so like I
even
know
on
for
the
me, I took the medical veterinary one the first time, I didn't pass, and then switched over to the general entomology because I was like, I'm not dealing with this again.
right, yeah. I was surprised because the urban and industrial entomology did have a lot of the medical questions where you had the diseases and things like that. So it was a very interesting exam. Kind of forced me to look at all of the categories as opposed to just narrow down on one.
Gotcha. Awesome sauce.
Cool.
Yeah, and I don't know if they have different different versions of the test. I can't say. I don't exactly remember if it was the same one that I took, word for word, but
So here, this is going to be an interesting question that's in my mind. Do you feel like and granted, obviously, everything collectively prepares you to take and pass the exam, right? So, but do you feel like the industry experience prepares you more, or the school experience prepares you more?
I would say definitely the industry experience, because there were things that had I not learned applications, had I not learned field techniques, had I not learned about equipment and the different types of sprayers that are used between structural pest control, agricultural pest control, things like that, it would have been a different story. So,
Yeah, and I think that's a fair point, but I'm also like thinking, you said there was a lot of taxonomy, a lot of morphology, a lot of stuff. That's all going to be school based. That's going to be all
right,
scholarly based for the most part,
right.
unless you just self teach yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say it's probably a good 60-40 mix, from actual
Okay.
field technique to having the coursework knowledge, things like that. So it's a fair mix, but yeah, you definitely have to have a good combination of both. Otherwise, you're going to struggle with a few of the questions.
Very, very nice. Shell, you got a question?
Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned that you worked for Inzecto and gave us a couple of your products, but what exactly do you do for them? What's your position? What do you do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis?
Yeah, so I'm the sales rep for the Western Territory. Right now, I'm focusing on California, Arizona, and Nevada, but I can go up into the Pacific Northwest, Idaho, Utah, things like that if I need to. So basically, I am out promoting the product, reaching out to people who might be interested in the product, looking for little companies that are doing mosquito services that want to elevate how they do their services, have a decent upsell or another revenue stream on that. So yeah, there's a combination of things that I do for the company, but mainly sales.
So I know we were kind of comparing this, Shell. I'm just going to jump in for a second. I know we were kind
Go
of
for it.
comparing this, and you jump in front of me if you have a question too. But I know we were kind of comparing this earlier before we got on to into care, and so I feel like there's a slight comparison with obviously the active ingredient, all the different stuff. And so give us a little bit of like maybe the difference between into care and your product, or sorry, Insecto's
Without
product.
bashing Intacare, because
Oh,
we
we're
like
not.
Intacares
Into care is
too.
great.
So
I love
I'm,
into
I'm
care.
just I'm just putting it out
Yeah,
there. Just
you're right.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I would never say anything bad about anybody or another company, anything like that. We can do an apples to apples comparison. I think that's completely fair.
Yeah.
So the into care trap and the Insecto trap are the same premise and design. It's a container trap, so it's made to attract and bring container breeding mosquitoes into that area. So it's similar in that aspect. The into care, they use a different formulation. I believe it's bacteria, Bavaria is what it's called.
Bavaria.
So the mosquito is attracted to that trap. They land on the wrap that you put around and you get out of the packet. They then take that and transfer it to other breeding areas or standing water spots, things like that around the yard. So with that, you do have mosquitoes that live for quite a few weeks after that, so they're able to transfer the material. The Insecto trap, we have a sachet inside that's an organic debris mix. So you put water inside the trap, you fill it up about a quart of water. That sachet emits the scent and odor and everything that the mosquitoes are attracted to that mimics stagnant water. They go into the trap. Ours is a polymer-based spray that lines the inside of the trap mixed with permethrin and pyroproxyfen, which is of course a pyrethroid and an IGR. So the mosquito goes in, it lands on the surface, it either dies in the trap or shortly after exiting the trap, and if any eggs are laid, the larvae hit the water and the IGR stops them from molting and becoming adult mosquitoes. So
you have a trap there you can show us, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
so
just like to see it.
Yeah, it looks like this. Little black and red top. There are some funny ridges on the side. That's actually an airflow design to mimic the air circulation that they would find in a typical container that they would breed in. So there's a lot of science behind the product. Dr. Phil Kaler from the University of Florida designed, and University of Florida holds the patents. There you go. Yeah, so Dr. Kaler's done a lot of work on this product, and he's the director of science for the company, and he's really great at what he does. So big shout out to him.
Love it.
Yeah, I think that's really important, for, again, newbies that may be listening to us. We really take the whole life cycle and the environment when we have these products to, like you said, it's a very small amount of pesticide, but we've used that life cycle of the mosquito and how they work to, do that in such a way that it's very little, it's very targeted. And, a lot of people who think of pest control are just like, oh, they just spray a whole bunch of nasty stuff.
Right.
And that's, we've got some amazing innovation based on that science. And I think that's super cool. And that's one of those products that's based on that.
Yeah. And
didn't we used to be called baseboard jockeys? Isn't that what they called techs back in the day?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Baseboard jockeys.
Yep.
I've been called that a few times.
Right. I mean, and for anybody listening, mosquito control, there's so much that goes. I mean, like I think everything that we have in our industry has its place. Intucare, Insecto, all these things have their place. They can all be built into various programs. I mean, I myself have built out, mosquito control programs for companies on a marketing perspective and tried to make them all go green, right? Because I know a lot of people, especially in California where David is, go green, environmentally friendly, being a steward of the environment. That's becoming more and more popular even across the globe. UK has banned glue boards now. We have all these things where things are happening on a, huge, like global level. And so from a mosquito control perspective, mosquitoes are still, last time I checked, the leading #1 killer in the world, right? Yep. And so, I mean, from a third world country perspective to people like, I think malaria is that big one, obviously in third world countries. And so it's just insane. Like, I just love mosquitoes. I actually have one tattooed on my shoulder.
Very nice.
Strip down, Adam. Let's see it. No, kidding.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Let me see if I can get to it. Can I get to her? Is she there? Is she there?
Very nice. Yeah. No, and like what, 20 some odd cases of dengue in Florida last month. So it's not just those, those other countries that have it. I mean, a lot of that is present in the U.S. So
dengue
is definitely something.
I was about to say dengue is actually big right now in San Diego. It's on the rise because it's in Mexico, and basically the ankle biter that's now in San Diego, I think it's 80s, is like basically there and available to bite and transmit.
Yeah, there's been here. I'm in Lancaster, California. It's considered the Antelope Valley, and then just right over the mountain from me is San Gabriel Valley, so Glendora, Pasadena area. There was a case of West Nile virus that was reported down there not too long ago, and then just recently in Palmdale, which is the city adjacent to me. So, it's still, mosquito-borne illness is still around. It's still very transferable. It still does make people sick. So it's something we really have to focus on and make sure we're doing the right thing. Because if we could end up damaging a lot more than we help.
Yeah,
100%. And for anybody listening, like, I don't know if you've actually listened to my little interview with Jeff King with Pest Strangers, but he went down to the West Indies, which is one of the Caribbean islands, and it was this beautiful, insightful, impactful, interview where he's like, you never think you're going to be the one who gets it, but he actually got dengue fever. And he talks about how horribly bad it is and how crazy he had like 105 fever for like 7 days before it broke.
They call it broken bone? break
No,
bone.
break bone
Because
fever.
it feels
Yeah.
like it's so painful. It feels like your bones are breaking. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm staying away from that one.
And with dengue, there's 4 different seroviruses. So basically, if you get a
Mm.
single serovirus, you basically get break bone fever. If you get a second different serovirus, you can suffer those horrible hemorrhagic manifestations where you bleed from your eyes, your ears, your nose, all that fun stuff. Can I get some now?
All right, let's transfer off mosquitoes for just a second.
Oh no, I'm just kidding.
And we'll come back to it. We'll come back. But the other
Just kidding.
standard question we ask all of our guests is, how do you feel that the BCE and for you, the PhD,
Yes.
the Public Health Entomologist certification, how do you feel that that's helped you, or has it helped you?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's helped me a lot in realizing, how the pest control application should take place. We have to look at not only just go to a house and spray everything and everywhere. It really made me think about how we should be targeting the insects based on like their life cycle, their biology, how they behave, where they rest, where they typically are found. So I think a lot more targeted applications, a lot more integrated pest management control can take place. And I think overall it's helped me look at the pest control aspect and applications from an environmental standpoint. And just, know that there are people out there that are misapplying and, using hot mixes and things like that. And it's just,
Yeah.
it kind of
It's
makes
scary.
you look at that. Yeah. And it's just, there's
Scary.
so many better ways to do things. If you just take a little bit of time, do a real thorough inspection.
And
make
read
sure
the label.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the label is the law. It's a legal document.
Can you tell us a little bit more about how this trap works?
This is actually brand new technology where the insecticides are all on the inside of this trap. I can hold this trap and not contact any of the insecticides because they're all on the inside of the trap.
How is the trap activated?
The trap is actually activated by adding water. The mosquitoes are attracted to the trap because the mosquitoes prefer the colors red and black. The trap lures them in and then kills them.
As any good trap should.
So always read your labels, folks. But yes, there is a way that we can place certain pesticides or certain traps or certain monitoring devices to where we're not harming beneficial insects or pollinators. So I think if we just take a little more time to look at what and identify what we're dealing with, as opposed to just, oh, it's a beetle, I'm going to spray, whatever's in my backpack, and hopefully it'll die. So I think it's helped me look at it more from definitely
Application
more
standpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think to dig in a little deeper though with Shell's question, how do you feel it's helped you with like maybe getting to where you are in your career, right? Because you've had a pretty good career. We've known each other for a while now, right? But I'm like, I know you, and I remember meeting you like years ago, and then you were like, I'm going to get my degree in entomology, and you did it all online, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I'm going to get my BCE. So you've always been very self-determined, driven individual, which I super appreciate and relate to. So again, how do you feel like now having your BCE is going to basically help you with your career?
Yeah, I think it's allowed me to learn more about how to research certain aspects of what I'm looking at. So from the educational standpoint, and then from the actual field portion of it, just being able to understand more of what I'm dealing with, how it behaves, the biology, the ecology, things like that.
The behind the science.
Yep. And as far as career goes, I am now in a position with the master's degree and the BCE behind me to where I can actually understand what people are talking about when they say, this is how we embed this material, and this is the active ingredient, and this is, these are the inert ingredients, this is how we formulate it. So understanding the formulations, the modes of action, the hows and whys behind pesticides are created and why they're created that way, I think is set me up to have a very good career moving forward in the technical space. So
knowledge is power, folks.
Yes. Yeah, and I've always been a lifelong learner, so I'll probably never stop. I'll just keep going.
If you're not learning, I say you're
thing.
not living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Literally.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So give us.
Shell, you got another question? Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think you're our first PhE. So give us a little quick blurb on that. Sell that to some of the folks out there.
Yeah, the Public Health Entomology certificate is nice. It doesn't have a CEU requirement or anything like that. It's a lifetime certificate. So once you get it, unless they change something without me knowing, you don't have to take the test again or do any continuing education once you have it. So that's always good.
How was that test? Was it hard?
It was. It wasn't
Compared to
as
the
hard as-
BCE, let's do that.
Yeah, it's kind of like an in between. So I have my ACE also. So I took that test. That one I did pass the first time, which was thanks to, I have to give a big shout out to Sylvia Kinmuir and putting together her Ace to Ace podcast and things like that. So she was a great resource for me on that one. The PHE I think is a midway between the ACE and the BCE. So there's application and practical knowledge, and then there's medical entomology. There's mosquitoes and ticks, the viruses that they can
Transmit vector.
There we go.
Gotcha.
Thank
Yeah.
you. That's kind
You're
of
welcome.
flew out of my brain.
Okay.
Yeah, so that focuses more on the vector side, as opposed to insects and arthropods in general. It's focused more towards vectors, mosquitoes, ticks, fleas, things like that. So that was
I need to go take that exam. Like I love that stuff. So I just want to go take it just for fun. Let's do it, Shell. Have you done it yet?
No, I've not done that one yet.
Let's sign up together. We're gonna do it. We're committing. Come on, Shell.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
think
a
about
great
it.
exam. Honestly, I don't think you two I don't think would have a problem, passing it the first time. So
I'm just a horrible test taker. That's my problem. For anybody listening, I've learned as I've gotten older and evolved that like if you usually the first choice is the right choice. That's what I've learned.
yeah.
Unless you're reading another question, then it signals in your brain, wait a minute, I had that question and maybe this was the answer. That's the thing I hate.
Yeah, I sit down to take a test, and most of what I've studied or remembered kind of just blanks on me. So a lot of it is, I have to read the question several times, I have to read the answer several times, and I have to kind of pick the best one based on what I've studied or what I remember. So, yeah, if you're not good at tests.
Well, I don't even know. Go ahead, Shell.
No, I was going to say that's a good point because for the BCE, there's no time limit on it, so you can take as long as you want to get through those tests. Was there a time limit on the PHE?
Well, I did mine. All of mine I did remotely. So I had basically, I went through ProctorU, which is who the ESA uses to remotely proctor their exams. So basically you have somebody looking at you through a webcam on your computer and verifying that you're not using notes or anything. So I did have a 3-hour time limit on every test.
Okay.
Even your BCE?
Yeah, the BCE I had a time limit.
Oh,
too.
wow.
So
I would have
I
not
don't know
passed
if
if
that
I
was-
only had 3 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that was set by ProctorU as a time limit for their proctors, or if that was set by the ESA. But I did have a 3-hour time limit.
Yeah, it's not ESA. So for those
It
again who are
probably
thinking
makes
of taking
sense.
it.
Yeah. It probably makes sense too, because when you do it in person, then the person can take as long as they want with you.
Right.
That's probably the difference.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm definitely I'm excited to take the PHE thing because I just love all that medical entomology stuff anyway. So
Yeah.
I just
Yeah,
watched a video. I watched a video the other day in my neighborhood where basically somebody had a plate and it had all these beetle larvae, all the beetle grubs in it. They were the rhinoceros one, the coconut rhinoceros one.
Nice.
And so it was just exciting. The chickens were eating all of them.
Yeah, I have chickens in my backyard. They actually help me with my Turkestan cockroach problem. So,
Oh, well, they also, just so you know, I don't know if you're familiar with like the Sentinel chicken program. Are you?
no, I have not heard of
So when I worked
for
for mosquito
mosquitoes?
control,
Yeah.
when I worked for mosquito control, we actually had 10 hotspot locations all throughout St. Johns County where I lived in Florida. We would glow every week, and there were 6 chickens in each coop. And we would basically bleed the chickens, take their blood, send off the blood to a virology lab to test for all the different mosquito-borne arboviruses. So just so you know, like basically having chickens is a basically great way to monitor for any mosquitoes,
Yeah.
any mosquito-borne viruses. Yeah.
Maybe I'll build my own chicken lab and and start testing
Test
and
it,
see what's going on.
right?
out there.
I can see David out there like with a little like little stuff.
Yeah. My chickens are too squirrely. I'd be afraid to grab them and hold on to them that long.
Right.
I mean, they got some talons on them, so I don't know.
That's a 2-person job. That's not a 1-person job for
Right.
sure.
Right.
Okay, I know we got off track. So back to the PHE, right? That's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little
Yeah.
bit on the PHE.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty similar to the ACE and BCE as far as format, question range. Same thing as I think there's 150 questions. Like I
Ugh,
said, I did
I'm
have a
exhausted.
3-hour time limit on that one. That one I actually had to take 3 times.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Do you remember any of the questions that you can like enlighten us with?
I don't.
Hey,
Yeah,
no cheating, no cheating, Adam.
It's not cheating. It's sharing. Sharing is caring. Come on
yeah,
now.
I took
I
it.
said caring, not Karen, by the way.
I took it. I think 4 years ago. So yeah, I don't really remember a lot of it.
In a hot
I
second.
know it did deal primarily with mosquitoes, ticks, and fleas. So there were some questions about the plague. There were some questions about Rocky Mountain fever, Lyme disease,
Okay.
malaria, dengue,
All that
yellow
stuff I
fever.
love. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah, and it's kind of like I said with the BCE, it was kind of just taking that medical entomology side and just matching, which virus goes there. Like if you had a picture of a mosquito and you had dengue, you had Rocky Mountain fever, and you had yellow fever, which line would you draw to
Right.
to connect the dots? So,
Do we know if there's any requirements to take the PHE? I don't even know if we asked that.
I think it's similar to the ACE, right?
yeah,
So the X number of years in the industry?
yeah, it's
Yeah,
the same
but
thing. I think you have to
yeah,
have 2 or 3 years in the industry, 2 letters of reference, a resume,
Letter
things
of
like that.
reference.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
yeah. I guess they want to make sure that you actually know what you say you know.
No, I know. I'm being funny. I'm sure like at this point, I wonder if they're gonna like ever evolve it. And obviously I'm on the certification committee, so I just need to ask this question. If we're ever gonna kind of evolve it to where we kind of use somebody's like LinkedIn profile, use their resumes, use that kind of stuff, and then maybe you just do like a verification, through a reference or something if you need to,
Yeah,
just to make it
get
easier.
get that done, Adam. Tell them what to
I'm
do.
working on it. All right.
yeah. Sometimes it's difficult to get a letter of reference. Like you ask someone and they get busy and they forget about it, and then you feel bad reminding them, or
We
some
just had
people.
that we just had that conversation right when we started. She was
Yeah,
like asking me if I could do one, and I was like, let's just get it done. Yes, we'll get it done. I
Yeah,
think I think the challenge with the letter of recommendation, David, is that like if somebody doesn't do it now, they forget, right? If it's
yeah,
not on my calendar, I don't see it. If I don't get a reminder, it doesn't happen. So I think everybody just gets caught up in their daily lives, and we all get so busy. And like Shell and I can tell you, we can tell you from being consultants. I mean, I've only been doing my consulting business for 8 months, and it's insane how busy you can get.
yeah, yeah.
but
Busy
we
is a
should
good word.
mention with those letters of recommendation too. It doesn't have to be like pages long. I mean,
Oh,
a couple notes from whoever it is saying that you're an awesome person, and entomology. It's yeah. So
Yeah,
don't think these letters of recommendation are like pages long or anything. It can be short and sweet.
yeah,
yeah.
and for anybody listening too, don't forget to ChatGPT is an amazing thing to give you a template. I'm not saying use it for like obviously gold, but you can get it. You can say, write me a letter of recommendation for a blah 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 with all these things, and it'll at least give you the template, and then you can modify the template in your own words.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be from, a high level CEO of a corporation or anything. It can be from anybody in your circle that knows you, that, can be a relatable reference and say, yes, I know him. He's worked in the industry. He's
Trustable,
done
yeah,
this and this, just anybody
yeah.
that can vouch from you on a personal level. So,
Yeah.
yeah, they're just sometimes getting people to sit down and write them is, you want me to take 20 minutes and do what now?
So now, David, you get to deal with the lovely piece of holding your BCE, which means maintaining all your CEUs. Have you
Yeah.
seen that lovely spreadsheet yet?
I have. I think it's like 120 hours over 3 years. My goodness.
It is, yeah. It's like 72. I think it's 72 credit hours in category A, and then the
Yeah.
remaining 48 credit hours in category B.
Yeah. I mean,
I
at
think
least
that's
there's a
close to
nice
correct.
mix. There's a nice mix. You can do,
Yeah.
college coursework. You can do, if you've helped to author a publication, or if you've helped to edit or revise a
Or if
publication.
you've gone to a conference like you're
Yeah.
going to do, David,
Hmm.
being a sales rep, all the conferences you go to, you can pretty much like, you can double dip a lot of things. You can put one over here, one over here.
Yeah.
So all the different, all the lovely magazine articles that come out from ESA through the magazine, you can read those and write those down. Or
Yep.
PCT. Anytime you do a presentation, you can write that down. There's a plethora of things.
Yeah, it's a pretty expansive list. They give you a lot of options. So when I first saw it and I saw 120 hours over 3 years, I was thinking, my goodness, 120 hours. How am I ever going to do that? But then I looked at the list and I was like, oh, okay, it's pretty expansive. It's doable. especially when you're holding a full-time job in this industry as a distribution rep or manufacturer rep. You can, like you said, the conferences, the trade shows, you get a CEU course, you give a CEU course, anything like that. So yeah, it's very, very achievable.
Shell, did we miss anything on the CEUs?
No, I don't think so. I mean, like you said, there's definitely a bunch of different categories. So, and again, I think ESA is fairly flexible in what they're willing to accept too. So I think there's one that's like special projects or something like that you can kind of just, like I did this special project. You're supposed to get advance approval or whatever. But yeah, it's not too strict that you're looking at it going, oh, well, this doesn't count because I didn't do this one little piece. Which is nice. Like you said, David, it just, there's some flexibility in there too.
Yeah.
Like luckily for me, last year, basically fall semester, when I was teaching 6th grade science at Wahiwa here in Hawaii, I got to teach my own course. So I taught an entomology course for the entire semester.
Very nice.
So I get to write that down as a CEU. Yay.
Yeah, and what's nice too is they give you the option to, like you said, Shell, with the special projects. If you have any question about anything, they give you an email address, through the ESA where you can submit it for review, and they'll.
That's pretty much Willett, I think.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Either Willett or Rebecca will look at it and see if it qualifies. So there's always that option too if you don't know for sure.
So David, my mind is swirling, and I have another question, so I have to get to it. I'm thinking here, you just started with Insecto recently, correct?
Yep.
And so you got your BCE before you started with Insecto, correct?
I did, yeah, about I think it was 2 or 3 weeks before.
And so getting your BCE was just a personal thing for you. It had nothing to do with basically getting a job or anything, correct? You were just getting it because you wanted to get it.
Right. Yeah, it was a personal goal. I heard all these people that went through the program at UNL and then came out and got their BCE, and I was like, hey, that sounds like something I want to do, so I just went for it. There was really no rhyme or reason, just I wanted to hold the certificate. So,
it's very interesting, right? Because if you listen to our last podcast with Ted's, officer, U.S. Army officer, entomology officer, and with Ted, they basically said that their BCE they didn't really feel like it benefited them. Am I correct, Shell? Is that correct?
Yeah. I missed that one, so I think Laura did that one with you.
No, with Ted.
No?
With Ted Snyder.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, so I think Ted was kind of like, and not that means that obviously it's not beneficial for everybody, but it was just interesting to hear somebody from the other perspective telling us their kind of like background and how they felt like it didn't really benefit them. But right now this is probably going to be episode 6, and basically 5 out of 6 of them have basically been like, they love it. It's benefited them. I know personally for me, if I didn't have my BCE, I wouldn't have my consulting business. So it's been groundbreaking for me, and I'm like, I love it. I will never let it go, and I'll do everything in my power to keep it and never have to take that test again.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God, the same thing. Yep.
Yeah, I think for me, with a BCE in my capacity, I think just going out and talking to people, it will give them kind of the instant credibility that they're looking for, to know that I'm going to make a good recommendation for them. Right. If you ask me about a pest control application or a product that Insecto has or is going to have soon, I think that it kind of gives you that immediate trust that people are looking for, to know that you're the expert in the field and you're going to give them the right recommendation to get rid of their problem without harming their kids or harming their pets or making anybody else sick or killing the bees, anything like that. So I think it's good for people who are concerned about the environment and pest control around their house and home, and even some pest control companies that might not know certain things. They feel like if you have a BCE and a master's degree, you're the expert. I can come and talk to you, and you're going to give me the absolute knowledge I'm looking for. So
I love it, and that's a great segue back to Insecto. I think we need to give Insecto as as the proud sponsor of today's episode. I want to give you a little more time on Insecto, and so is there anything you said? Is Insecto kind of new? Have they been around for a while?
Yeah, so Insecto got patented everything, all their patents, all their licenses in 2023, I believe.
Okay. So they're a baby as well.
Yeah, I could be wrong about that. The company has been a company since 2012. Okay. So that time was spent, with Dr. Phil Kaler in the University of Florida, kind of developing the product, redesigning the product, looking for the flaws, going through the registrations with the EPA,
testing, all that stuff. Gotcha. Yeah.
So there was assays that they had to do with, they had to cage mosquitoes and put the trap in there and see were they luring inside the stations, were they hitting the stations, were they laying eggs in the stations, how did this container type compare to different container types. So there was a lot of science and research that went behind it. So now everything is registered with the EPA. We have a 3-month container, just monitor every 30 days for water level. And the trap itself is 100% recyclable. So, going back to that sustainable portion, there's no trash, there's no waste. You can throw it in your recycle bin.
So just to confirm, recyclable, not compostable.
Right, not compostable.
Okay.
Yeah, not compostable.
Well, now they're building all this silverware out there, this like compostable silverware. You know what I mean? And so just trying to understand the difference.
Yep. No, this one it does have the little arrow, the little triangle with the arrows on the bottom, with the HDPE or whatever it is. So throw it right in your recycle bin when you're done with it, and it'll get melted down and turned into a soda bottle or something afterwards.
And so you keep talking like we're talking to consumers. So is it built more for pest control companies, and then obviously they would put it in the consumer's location, and then the consumer can just basically recycle it? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So pest control guys, I know some companies will just tell you, if you can use the client's bin, if they're okay with that, go ahead and do it. Or they want you to black bag it and throw it in your truck and get rid of it at the shop. So there's different options on how it can be recycled. But yeah, the product primarily is for pest control professionals. It's not available to the general public.
End users.
Gotcha. Product. Right.
Okay. So, and then any idea on how many devices are in the field right now?
Oh gosh, I don't have that number off the top of my head. I can tell you it's quite a few. The good thing about Insecto is you don't have to use a lot of the traps on one property. Like one trap will cover 4,000 square feet. So if you have an 8,000 square foot lot, you put out 2 traps, you're pretty much good to go. One on each corner, and then you have a nice coverage area. So I can get the number of traps in the field.
Oh, yeah. I was just curious.
It's got to be at this point. It's got to be upwards of 100,000, I would say.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. I was just curious. So I know there's obviously, anytime you do a product like this or any new product, it goes through alpha testing, beta testing, all the different phases. And so I've been a part of that on the electronic rodent monitoring side. So anywho, Shell, you got another question? I know your mind's twirling just like mine.
No, I mean,
it's my Friday.
It's time for wine.
I need to go whine about it.
Exactly. I got to go whine about pest control.
Right.
No, I mean, this is great. And, David, thank you so much for doing this. And we'll make sure that all the, for those of you who are watching, we'll make sure all David's information and Insecto's information is there. So you can check that out on your own time. Yeah,
for sure. David, you got any, anything you want to leave us with? Any last words?
Yeah, I mean, if you're in the mosquito arena, as a pest control technician or a company owner looking to get into it, please feel free to reach out to me. Like I said, Insecto is a environmentally friendly, sustainable trap. So we're trying to help out the green areas. Definitely along the West Coast, we're getting a lot of people who are more eco-targeted. So we're making sure that we're doing the best we can to be responsible and be good environmental stewards. So anyway, myself or Insecto can help you out, please let us know.
Awesome sauce. Well, thank you, Insecto, again for sponsoring our podcast today. We super appreciate it. And thank you, all you nerdy entomologists out there for joining us on the BCE Podcast, where there's no ifs, ands, or bugs about it. Everybody have a good weekend.
Bye, folks.
Thank you, guys.
They're buggy, they're nerdy, they're talking 6 legs, buzzing on the airwaves with their field note pegs. From beetles to bees, they just can't get enough. Geeking out on bugs, yeah, the nerdy stuff. Not for fame, not for clout, just because they care. It's the Bugcast boys and girls, science in the air.